Hello friends, welcome to my little corner of booktube. My name is Tanya. Welcome here. If you are new, thank you for stopping by. If this is not your first video, but I hope that you consider subscribing. This is my newer channel for booktube that I am kind of restarting over, so I would appreciate your support in subscribing and supporting my channel. But today I want to talk to you about the last, I guess July and August, technically the last a few books that I've been reading lately and letting you know my thoughts about them. So if you want to hear a little bit more, let's get into the books I've recently read. I do have to say that I don't know why I haven't been reading. Okay, I guess I know now. I am a full-time teacher, so I have also been very busy. So it's been a little bit extra busy. I haven't had as much time for reading, but also for some reason in July, I just didn't really read as much as I normally did. So I was in a little bit of a slump. I don't know. But I think I have 8 books to talk to you guys about today. So again, maybe not as many, but it's not always about the quantity, it's about the quality. And I feel like I did get some pretty good reading in. So let's start with, I'll try to go back and I'll have a Goodreads link down below because I always have to look and check what it was that I was even reading. So for some reason in the beginning of July, I didn't really read much. I was just very kind of blah. I couldn't really pick a book that I wanted to get into. And so actually one of the first books that I read and finished in July, which was a brand new genre to me, first ever, I read my first ever manga. I have never read anything manga in my entire life. It hasn't really been normally something that I'm super interested in, or into as much. My husband is really into it, into anime and manga, and so he kind of had mentioned this to me, and I think there was one other booktuber that I kind of sounded familiar to me. I think they mentioned it before, I can't randomly, and it is called Spy Family. And I do have to say I did really enjoy it. I rented it from Libby, so I read it on Kindle, and it follows the story of kind of how it sounds like spy family. So basically there is this spy, and he has this mission that he needs to complete, but in order to complete the mission he needs to basically have a family as part of the cover. So he ends up finding this woman, and she's actually secretly an assassin. He doesn't know that about her, and she doesn't know about him. And then they need, part of the mission is they need a child, and so they end up adopting this little girl, and she is a telepath. Is that what it is? No. She can read people's minds. Is that what that is? I can't remember. It is just, I do have to say, I was kind of more into this, into the manga, because I feel like it wasn't super high fantasy and stuff. That's not always my favorite, and I feel like a lot of manga can be that often. So I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I do have to say it was a little bit different getting used to reading right to left, but also sometimes with pictures, because I'm kind of obviously used to more to words, so sometimes I would get a little bit lost, wait, is it this one, which way? But overall it was a really great experience. I did really enjoy it. I know it's a series, and I am in the process of reading the second one, but I really enjoyed the characters. I love them. It was kind of funny and witty, and it was really cute too. So kind of a found family concept. I would recommend it if maybe you are new to manga or wanting to try it out. I would recommend this series to you, at least so far. And the next book that I read was The Flat Share. I recently had picked it up in a haul, and it follows the story of Tiffy and Leon, and I just was so interested in it because the concept seemed interesting, and I think I ended up giving it, what did I give it? I gave it a 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. Here's the thing, I did really enjoy it, and I did finish it, but for some reason, I don't know why, this book, I guess it's 350 pages, so it's not that long, but I don't know why it took me so long to finish it. And again, I didn't hate it or anything, but I don't know why. It just kind of was a slow read for me, and it follows the story. So Tiffy has had a really bad breakup, and she needs to find a place to live, and so she can't afford kind of her own place, and so she found an ad for a flat share, and so basically it's meant to be they're literally sharing a flat or an apartment, and so she's there in the day, and then, at night, and vice versa, so basically it's opposite schedules, but they kind of almost start following each other even though they've never really seen each other. So it's an interesting concept. I did really enjoy that. The part that was kind of, I think took me a little bit of adjustment is that for Leon, when it's dual point of view, which I enjoyed, but for Leon's point of view, it's kind of written in a different style, so it was a little bit I was wait, what? It kind of, my brain had to kind of transition every time we went back to Leon's chapter, but I did enjoy the book. I thought it was good. I liked the different characters in it, and I liked how the romance and how also discussed some trauma and things in past relationships for her, and like working through that. So I did really enjoy this one. I thought it was good. I would recommend it. Let me know your thoughts as always down below. You know, what are you thinking, and what are you guys reading lately? I would love to hear. Definitely tell me what has been your favorite book this past month, and what are you excited to read for fall, because fall is almost here, you guys. Can you believe it? I'm so excited. I'm ready for it. I am over summer. I'm a fall person, so I'm super excited about it. All right, the next one that I read, I also hauled this a couple months ago in my Target purchases, was The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I give this one also 4 out of 5 stars. I like a lot of Christina Lauren's books, and so this one was on my list to read. And it follows Jessica, who is a single mom, and she's just always busy. You know, she's putting her kid first and just lots of things going on. And there is, what is his name? What is his name? Oh, Dr. River Pena, and he is a geneticist, and he's part of this like company that basically does DNA testing to try to find your match. So it's kind of like dating, but on a genetic, more extreme level, I guess. And so they are actually considered, they find out, she kind of randomly submits her, you know, blood tests and stuff, or whatever, her DNA, and they find out that they're like a diamond, like 98% match, the highest that's ever been recorded in the history of this company. And so to see like, are they really, you know, and there's a little bit of kind of like fake dating, I guess, which obviously tends to grow into something more, which I enjoy that trope. I thought it was different. I thought it was a pretty fast read for me. I enjoyed it. It has some romance obviously in it. Christina Lauren, they're known for their romance, and I did like it. I don't think it was my favorite by them, like compared to like Love in Other Words. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It wasn't my favorite, but I definitely like it, and I love the character, like her daughter in here. That was really sweet, and it was nice to see, you know, from a like from the viewpoint of a parent. So I did really enjoy this one, but I recommend it. Like I said, I like a lot of Christina Lauren's books. I think it was a good read. It was cute. It was a little bit different. I've never read something like this about genetic testing and DNA and matchmaking and all that kind of stuff all together. So I thought it was done really well, and I enjoyed it. The next few books I read on my Kindle, so I'll just again show pictures, but the next one I read, okay, this is, I finally bit the bullet and I was like, I'm gonna try it. I read The Court of Thorns and Roses, and because obviously it's like everywhere and people talk about it, and I decided to give it another try because I read one other Sarah J Maas book. I read Crescent City, and I decided I'm gonna try another Sarah J Maas. Maybe this is different. Don't come for me, people. This is just my opinion, but I gave it, I think, a 3.5. I think looking back, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think Sarah J Maas is not for me. I don't think it was a terrible book, but I didn't feel like it lived up to the hype, or like what I think when people describe it, they make it sound like it's really epic and amazing, and maybe I have to read more of the books in the series. I don't know. But to me, after I read it, it wasn't horrible. I read it pretty quickly. I got engaged, and I know there's like some romance, but just, I don't know, after I read it, I was like, huh, like I expected more, I guess. Like, I don't know, and I'm just realizing I think that's Sarah J Maas for me. I don't hate her books, but I just don't think she's an author for me that really like grasps me and like, wow, this is like really my thing, like my fantasy series, because I just don't really enjoy it. Like, I guess, I don't know, I wouldn't say not enjoy it. I guess I don't like love it. So I don't know, I might continue the series and see. Like I said, like I liked it, I get into it, but it's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to keep reading. I just can't. I just love it. It's just not really my thing, I think. And so maybe I need to find a different fantasy series, because I don't know. It's just, it's not my cup of tea for some reason. I don't know. So don't come for me, everybody. If you know a good fantasy series or like a good fantasy romance that maybe you'd recommend, please comment down below, because I'd love to read it and try it out. The next one that I read that I really actually enjoyed is a good mystery, and I saw this around also a lot, kind of a couple months ago, and it is called The Maid. It's by Nita Prose, and I really enjoyed this book. It was a mystery, like a murder mystery, but it was done in a really good, like, non-gory way, because I have a hard time, I'm basically a baby, and I have a hard time reading anything super gory or scary, and I can't do that. This one was done really well. It follows the story of Molly Gray, and she, I would say almost, I think she's kind of like on the spectrum, because she has a hard time reading social cues or understanding, you know, like jokes and a lot of social things and how people interact. And so kind of seeing her, and she works at a hotel, and she's a maid, and she takes a job very seriously, and she just loves her job. And there is actually a murder in the hotel where she works, and so there is that element of that mystery of who done it. And she, because she's very detail oriented, and she remembers things and notices things that a lot of people maybe don't, or she sees things differently. So even though she struggles a lot with the social things, she's, you know, she's got her own like different way of seeing the world. And so it was really interesting to see. At times it was also challenging, because you as the reader can tell when some of the people in the hotel and the different characters are kind of almost like take advantage of Molly, and you as the reader know that, but she is not noticing, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you wish you could just reach in and be like, shake the character. So that really kept me engaged and just like going into the story. I have to say the ending was a little bit not what I expected. It wasn't horrible, but I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, I don't know. But I did enjoy it. It was a really good, like, whodunit mystery. It was done really well. There was a little bit of romance, and I enjoyed it. Kind of gets you thinking of who you think it might be, but it's not that. And so my husband actually also really read it, and he enjoyed it too. I thought it was just done really well, and it was a really good read. I gave it 4 out of 5, just a good mystery read. I would recommend it for sure. And the next book that I read, I've been seeing this one around a lot again also, is Better Than the Movies. And again, because this was actually on Kindle Unlimited, so I was so excited to see it, because I have been waiting to buy it on paperback, but I saw it in Kindle Unlimited and I was like, score, this is amazing. So it follows, I can never say people's name, but it's Liz Buxbaum, and the story of Wes, who is her neighbor. And what I liked about the story is it combines, so things like movies and rom-coms, which you normally think would be kind of like cheesy or repetitive, but it combines that and also music, which I love, and like different soundtracks and different songs, and into kind of like, I don't know if it's enemies, it's not really enemies to lovers, I don't know, friends to, I don't know, it's kind of a mix of the two tropes, but I really enjoyed it. I thought, you know, it kind of, whenever you have rom-com things, it can kind of go really cheesy in the wrong way, but I've heard other people say this, like, and I agree, I think it's done really well. I really enjoyed the rom-com quotes at the beginning of each chapter. Like, it just really went well, and it really kind of inspired me to just watch more rom-coms. Like, I was just in the mood after reading those books, and I did really enjoy it. I gave it, I think, 4 out of 5 stars, or 4.5. I thought it was really fun. It's a high school romance, which is a little bit different, but I did really enjoy it. I liked it, and it follows Liz. Her mother has passed away a few years ago, and she's in her senior year of high school, and she kind of has this agreement with her neighbor Wes, and because she likes this other guy, but she needs his help to kind of get her, you know, the other guy to notice her. And so kind of they come to this agreement, but obviously things go a different way than planned. And again, it was just really cute, and I really enjoyed it. I think as a YA romance, it's done really well. It's one of the ones that I think I've read that is done in a really good way. And even if, you know, you're an adult reading, you know, like the high schooler, I think it's just done really well. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. And it does also look at the concept of grief, I think, in a really good way. And the next one that I read, I was really in a mood for just like a historical romance, and I don't know, I was kind of searching, couldn't really get into one, and then Kindle, I guess, read my mind and recommended this on Kindle Unlimited, and I was like, that sounds good, I'll try it. I really liked it. I flew through it in like a day, I think it was, day and a half, and the exciting part is it's part of a series, so I'm already on book number 2, I'm hoping I'm gonna really love it, but it is called The Wild One by Danielle Harmon. And of course the covers are always so dramatic, but there's a few different covers, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was part of a series called the De Montfort Brothers, and it follows these, I think it's 4 brothers. They are in England, and each one gets a book, and this one follows the story of Gareth and Juliet. And Juliet is actually engaged to his older brother. She was over in the colonies. This is time of like the American Revolution, and she's over there engaged to his brother, or engaged to his brother Charlie. She's pregnant with his child, but then Charles, he dies in battle, and so she ends up being basically an unwed mother with this child. And so she, you know, a year later after Charles' death, is finding herself in England, trying to get to Charles's family, the Duke and all that, so they can help her take care of her child and whatnot, and just all of that. And her paths cross with Gareth. There's a whole like element of adventure. I gotta say, I wasn't sure, like I really got into it in the middle. I was like, I don't know. It does have a couple spicy scenes, which they're not terrible, but they weren't like my favorite. They're like, I was like a little like cheesy for me. I was like, like, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of always reading spicy scenes, and so I was a little like, ew, like, but I have to say this story, especially the ending, I got so into it, especially at the end of this one, because Gareth is kind of like, the reason they called him the wild one is just, he's just kind of, well, he's wild, and he's just kind of like, before he meets Juliet, like he's kind of just drinking a lot, and just like wild, and all with his friends, and doesn't really have responsibility, and that kind of changes over the course. This also has the trope of a marriage of convenience. So yeah, so it follows them, and I do have to say I did really enjoy the series, especially the ending. Like I really got into it, like really sped up, and I really wanted to, like, you know, I was kind of on the edge of my seat. There's this whole element of like boxing, and there's like, I don't know, it just was really good. It's like, I think it was done well historically as well, and I liked all the different characters. I'm super excited to read his oldest brothers. Is it Lucian? He's kind of seen as like the wicked one or the evil one, which obviously, you know, like dark mysterious character, and like he's evil, but I don't think he's actually that evil. He, I think, is in the 4th book, but I'm kind of liking this series. Like I think for a historical romance, I think it's done really well, and it's nice to have, like, I feel like whenever I'm in the mood for a historical romance, this is a good series to go to. So let me know if you guys have read this series, like what are your thoughts. The whole series is on Kindle Unlimited, which I appreciate, and also if you have like historical romance recommendations, definitely let me know down below, because I never know, like, you know, like I never know where to start. I'm just like, which one do I pick? So yeah, but I came across this one. I'm actually really liking it, and I've started the 2nd one. Then the last book I want to talk to you guys about, I'm actually completely not finished with it all the way. I'm going to be though, because I'm finishing up hopefully tonight or tomorrow. But I just wanted to include it because, like I said, I already kind of know my thoughts on it, and I just want to tell you guys about it. And it is called We Are Not Free. And I have to say, I think this book, I'm pretty sure, is getting 5 out of 5 stars for me. I am loving it. I think it is a very important book. I think like everyone should read it. I just really enjoyed it. I saw this as another booktuber recommended. I can never remember people's names, I'm so sorry. This was one of her favorite books, and I picked it up on my haul, if you saw, a couple weeks ago, and I just started reading it this past weekend while I was on a little trip, and I just really liked it. It's so good. So it follows a story. It's a YA historical fiction book, and it follows 14 teens who are Japanese Americans, and it's right after during World War II, Pearl Harbor. And so obviously in the United States, this takes place a lot in California, mainly in like the San Diego area, and obviously other parts once the story progresses. But it looks at the events that happen with Japanese internment camps and all around the US, and it is just so interesting seeing it from the different perspective, because there's the 14 teens and seeing the different stories and just different things. And I love this book because I myself am an immigrant, and I feel like whenever there's immigrant stories, there's something about, not all immigrants are so different and every story is so different, but yet there's something that in some ways, like, I connect to a lot of the things as well. And it's interesting because most of these teens were born in America, but some of them are immigrants from Japan. Majority of them though are Americans, but their parents are immigrants from Japan. And just seeing kind of the relationship between immigrant parents and them, but also with this concept of like American, and at the time, like, that was definitely being challenged of like, what is American, because all of a sudden everyone was just like, if you're Japanese you can't be American, like you can't be both. And so it's just this concept of like, what is American. And just, like I said, some parts of it are difficult because I feel like that's often the case with a lot of historical books, but I feel like it's a really important read, and it's not something that I've read too much about when it's come to this topic in history. So I just feel like I'm learning a lot, and I definitely would recommend. I think it's important, like whether, especially if you know you're like a teen or someone you may know who would enjoy, but even as adults, like this is just, I think it's important to read, and I really do enjoy it. I have to say sometimes my mind has to transition a little bit because there's so many different characters. There's 14 different people that you follow. Sometimes my brain is like, wait, what, who is this? So that was a little bit confusing, I have to say, but you kind of get, you know, you get into it and you get into the story, and it's just written really well. So this for me, I think is a 5 out of 5 star read for me this month. I definitely recommend. I think it's going to be one of my favorite books of the year. I just kind of am thinking that, like, just looking back so far, I really love this book, and I can't wait to finish it tonight. But I just wanted to include it in here. Like I said, I'm almost done. So please read this book. If you have, let me know your thoughts as always down below. But I just really love it, and I think it is important, and I can see why it was a National Book Award finalist, because it definitely deserved it. So that is everything that I have read the last few months. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and listening to this video. Hopefully you found it a little bit entertaining, maybe something interesting, or piqued your interest to read or try reading something new. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone.